Thanks for coming today, everyone. We got a big class today, which is great. We're going to do a fun little bit of movement that's slightly different than what we've been doing over the last couple weeks. So last couple weeks we've been doing more posture-oriented stuff, and today we're going to do more of a chakra-oriented work or class. And so the chakras is this philosophy or perspective on anatomy that comes from the Eastern culture, primarily through India. And hey, welcome. And so each of these areas in our body is said to also correlate with different psycho-emotional pieces. So if we're feeling stressed financially, for example, or we have insecurities with our home or in our relationships and things that would be threats to our survival or basic needs, that would be the root chakra, for example. Or if we're having issues expressing ourselves or holding boundaries or being able to say the things that we really mean, that could be in the throat, for example, which is interesting. And so there's these different centers throughout our body that have a psycho-emotional meaning to them or attributed to them that also correlate with the Western anatomy, which would be the organs and the glands and also muscular structures throughout the body. And so what we're going to do today is play around with more of the psycho-emotional aspects of it, as well as doing some physical movements that will allow us to gain a little bit more access to that space. So it's going to feel good, and I hope you enjoy. But for starters, we're going to just simply do a breathing exercise. So this breathing exercise is incredibly powerful for reducing stress. So I'm going to invite you to take your left hand and place that over top of your heart, and then your right hand over top of this. If you'd prefer to get a little bit more specific, you can take both of your index fingers and point those right beside each other, right at the center of your heart. And so there's no right or wrong here, just feeling where the most impactful space of your center would be, okay? And then here, you can allow the eyes to fall closed and just notice how your body is stacked on the floor. So noticing the bones that are in contact with the floor, how the muscles and the other structures just drape on top of the parts that are in contact. And then noticing the space directly underneath the hands or behind the fingers. And starting to observe the expansion of the breath on the inhale and the contraction of the breath on the exhale. So when we breathe in, the body fills up and gets bigger, and as we breathe out, the body gets thinner and longer, taller. So the inhale makes the rib cage nice and wide, and the exhale gently squeezes the ribs like a corset sewing together. Now we're going to layer some more mind onto the breath. So you're going to inhale and hold at the top, and then exhale all the way to the bottom. And then inhale, hold at the top, and exhale all the way to the bottom. And you can follow in this pattern. There's no need to pause at the bottom of the breath. Simply inhale, pause for a moment to feel the breath saturating your body, and then exhaling back down. So that's the method. We're inhaling, holding, exhaling, inhaling, holding, exhaling, and finding a good pace that works for you. Just focusing on that pattern. Inhaling, holding, exhaling. Good. And at this point, the mind might start to wander, and if it does, just know that at any point, once you catch that thought, oh, I'm not paying attention to the breath, just simply bring yourself back to the breath. Inhaling, hold, exhale. Simple, it's easy. imagine now that you're breathing through the space behind the hands. Like there was a little center that was pushing and pulling air in and out directly from your heart, the center of the lungs. Inhales, filling up the center of the chest, holding for a moment, broad, strong, open, and exhaling from the center of the chest. Inhaling, filling the heart up, holding, full, strong, capable, and exhaling through the center of the chest. Visualizing that push and pull through the center of the chest. You might even be able to make it feel as though the cells in the front of the chest are breathing rather than the lungs or the nose. It's the front of the chest that's breathing. If you'd like to set up a heart coherence rhythm that will organize the brain, the body, and the self, the brain, the guts, and the heart, you can inhale for a count of 5, hold, and exhale for a count of 5. Inhale for a count of 5, hold, and then exhale for a count of 5. Continuing at your own count of 5. Still breathing in and out through the chest, but now inhaling for 5, holding, and then exhaling for 5. The pause at the top can just be momentary. It's just a momentary pause. 5 in, 5 out, through the center of the chest. Last 30 seconds, just a few more rounds of breath here. If you've wandered, just bringing yourself back so that your nervous system remembers this synchronizing breath. Okay, and you can finish up and just allow some natural breathing, and if you want to, you can let the hands come down and maybe invite in some stretches for the legs or extending out the legs if you need. So the heart coherence breathing is really particularly powerful. It's been researched a lot by HeartMath, and that in about 3 to 5 minutes can really change your state. So if you're feeling stressed, that's a really good one to do. Just taking some time for yourself in an office or in a space, wherever you can really, and just holding the center of the chest, or even just visualizing it with your mind, breathing in and out through the center of the heart, can be very, very harmonizing for your whole body systems. Because sometimes we're getting stress from up here, sometimes it's from down here, sometimes it's from in here, not as much usually, but it depends on where the stress is coming from, and when we center ourselves here, it seems to calm down both top and bottom. Okay? Very useful. Now, let's go ahead and start some movement. So you can bring your hands down to the fronts of your shins, down towards the ankle. As you inhale, you're going to rock forward, and as you exhale, you're going to rock backward. So if you're in a seated position, you can feel the sit bones pressing into the ground, really just working on tilting the pelvis here. So the inhale tilts it forward, exhale tilts it back. Bringing some movement on the sit bones, the butt bones. We're trying to when the hands are at the ankle, we're trying to bring some movement at the pelvic floor, through the pelvis, the hips, the tailbone even. Sometimes we actually are tucking the tail and we're sitting directly on our tailbone, which is pretty hard on our brain. So if we can sit on the butt bones, the shoes of our spine, then we can get a little bit more control. Have a little bit better communication between our brain and our legs, at least. And then when you're ready, continuing the spinal flex, but moving the hands a little bit up the shins. Moving now from the top of the pelvis, the belly button, maybe from the low floating ribs. Still inhaling forward, exhaling backward. Moving up the spine here to train the brain for what's to come in the movement portion of the practice, which is starting at the root chakra and moving all the way up. In the same way, we're approaching these gentle spinal movements, these little pulses of electricity that come from the movement of the spine, little jump sparks to the brain. Sliding your hands up even more now into the knees, and maybe moving the movement now from the center of the ribs, the sternum, maybe even from the shoulder blades or the collarbone. Maybe it feels good too to explore where your hand position is. Are your hands facing down? Are they facing the sides? Are they up? How does that change where the flexion and extension of the spine comes from? Maybe that even changes some of the stretch and tension down the lines of the arms. Good. Okay, and then we're going to move right along. So keeping the hands on the knees as you wish. Gonna lift the shoulders up, back, and down. We're gonna roll the shoulders out a few times. Good, and then we're gonna roll them forward a few times. Good, and then you're gonna inhale them up, exhale, drop them down. And if that's too much on the body to have that shake, feel free to ride the elevator down. Inhaling, elevator goes up, exhaling, elevator down. Whole time, keep your heart lifted, strong and tall. That'll help you massage the tension out of the low back, the upper back. And inhale up and exhale down. Get your neck nice and long, wiggle it all the way up, take your hands down by your sides if that feels okay for you, and then letting the neck fall to one side, and then the other, and back and forth a few times as you wish. We're going to go for about 3 to 5 reps here. I want you to remember my voice is just a guide offering positions that will feel good in your body. And then once you're done your 3 to 5 reps, you can start turning your head all the way to one direction, pausing for a moment at the end, maybe moving the eyes, and then turning to the other direction, pausing at the end range, and maybe moving the eyes or gently softening tension through the shoulders or the elbows. Going back and forth a few times as you wish, 3 to 5 reps. If I'm giving you some options and your body is wanting to do something else, I really encourage you to do that. Do that other thing. Let that spontaneous movement happen for your body, because that's what your body needs. That's why it's telling you to do that. feel free and empowered to do that. It'll feel really good for you. Once you're done the 3 to 5, we're going to start with the neck rolls, so you can let the head fall to one side and then bring it around town. And if doing the full neck roll is too much on your neck, what you can do is you can imagine on the tip of your nose there was a little pencil, and you can draw a figure 8 back and forth. Sideways infinity symbol. Sideways 8. The nose. And 3 to 5 rotations one way, and then changing to the opposite way there. Bringing yourself long and tall once you're ready. There's no rush. Inhale all the way to the top. Keep your heart lifted strong. Once you reach the top of the breath, suspend the breath and maybe even softly pull in the belly. Just firming the pressure up, 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 using the breath and the tension of the muscles to squeeze up towards the brain. And you can relax the breath whenever you feel ready. All right, it's time to bring some movement into this. So if you're wanting to, you can feel free to do a flow, or you can come into downward dog and then walk yourself up, or you can simply come to stand at the front of your mat, whichever feels right for you. Either way, whenever you're coming to stand, it's always best to have your neck tucked and breathe out. This can help regulate the blood pressure in your brain to come back. I've done this many times to prevent fainting. Awesome. So we're going to start things off with the root chakra. So security, stability, survival are our basic needs met. And so a movement for this center is breathing squats. So there's no particular right form, just doing what feels best for you. As you exhale, you're going to sink down into the squat. And then as you inhale, you're going to gently come out. And you don't have to go very deep in this one. You can just go to where feels comfortable. If that's here, great. And then you inhale back up. So you exhale, pressing the palms down or maybe even forward to let the hips come back further. And then the inhale, soft hands coming out. So the exhale, maybe the palms firm up a little bit. Maybe they don't. And then the inhale pulls you out. You can imagine here, if you want to, that your hands are on those inflatable balls, those inflatable beach balls, and it's almost like you were trying to just gently press that beach ball under water. So as you inhale, that brings them up, and then as you exhale, you're gently pressing the beach balls, trying to just ever so slightly submerge them in the water. Visualizing here the color red. So as you exhale, it's like the color red is shooting down through the roots of your feet, through your toes into the mat, and then as you inhale, you're pulling in fresh new red, filling the body up from the feet up in through the hips, the belly, the chest, the shoulders, the hands, the neck and head. It's like you have waves of this beautiful color red flowing in and out of you. The organs that are impacted from the root chakra is the colon, works on the coccyx, the tailbone, the legs, the feet. It's a very earthy style element. Really flowing with your own breath for the last 30 seconds or so here. Feeling and moving how you see fit. Discovering what feels good for you. you may notice as we do these movements, you can continue going as you wish. You may notice as we do these movements that you might get some emotions and some feelings that come up, or resistance to doing these areas, and just notice them, because maybe that means that this area needs some work. Maybe it means that this area has excess power in it for you. Just observe. And one or two more, and then once you're ready, find some stillness at the top of the breath, pausing for a moment, exhaling, and then maybe taking your hands and placing them on your legs. And just doing one last visualizing flush, imagining the red energy or clouds or paint or whatever texture you've given the color, texturizing it up through the feet, through the legs, past the knees, in through the hips, the tops of the hips, the belly button, the low back, the ribs, chest, upper back, shoulder blades, down, pouring down the arms, past the elbows, through the wrists, hands, in through the shoulders, the neck muscles, the back of the jaw, the top lip, the nose, under the eyes, and into the top of the head. Great. So the next chakra that we're going to play with is the second chakra, the sacral chakra. And so a movement for this, we'll play around. You can do any sorts of movements. If you want to get into some circular motions, that's a really, really healthy and good one. Maybe actually we'll start there. So just picking a direction and just starting to circle your hips in that direction. If this doesn't feel quite good for you, another option is coming into a slight hinge and tucking the tailbone. So inhale, tailbone comes back, exhale, tailbone comes forward. For me, this one's a bit more nourishing. I get a lot of shakes in this range of motion, so I can tell that it's a challenging area for my brain to connect to. So I'm going to continue doing the pelvic tilts, but if you wish, you can do the circles. And if you're doing the circles, the inhale brings the hips behind you, the exhale brings them forward. Inhale, hips behind you, exhale, forward. And feel free to change direction at any time, okay? Another option to explore spontaneously is lifting one hip, then the other. So trying to bring tops of the hip bones side to side. So you can always explore that too, or even figure eights with the hips. Just seeing what feels best for you. So the sacral chakra is our sexual force, our creative force. It's a watery element, so it impacts the bladder and the kidneys, genitals. It's how we take something from our mind, puts passion behind it, and then it's what magnetizes its ability to be created physically outside of us. And so if this area is out of whack, perhaps we have more or less desire for intimacy. Perhaps we have more or less desire to create. Maybe even an inability to create art. And it doesn't have to be just painting, it can be anything, like creating a yoga class or creating a schedule for events, whatever it may be that you express your creativity through. And the color here is orange, so as you're syncing up the breath, you can imagine breathing in this vibrant orange, breathing out a vibrant orange. Do a few more breaths here, and then when you're ready, bringing yourself to stillness, taking the hands and dropping them by the hips, and just imagining filling the body up just like before, but this time with the color orange. If you really want to practice, perhaps what we were doing earlier with the breathing in and out of the center of the chest, perhaps you want to breathe in and out of the center of the sacrum. So right about 2 inches below the belly button. And when you're ready, we're going to move into the next center, the solar plexus. So below the ribs and these squishy parts, it's our fire center, our digestive center, how we assert ourselves in the world and how we take action, how we have self-esteem and willpower to do different pieces. So here, it's kind of like that beach volleyball texture in your hands. Maybe it's clouds in your hands. As you inhale, you're pulling these soft hands back towards your solar plexus. And then as you exhale, you're pressing the hands out and getting strong through the palms. Inhale, pulls the hands in. Exhale, presses out. Playing around with the movement, so you're breathing. The center of the solar plexus. This color here is yellow, so starting to pull the yellow color in and press the yellow color out. So it pulls in nice, vibrant new yellow and presses out old, stagnant yellow. And the hands are at the level of the solar plexus, which is going to help you continue focusing your body's attention and bringing resources into its organs like the spleen, the pancreas, the liver, the stomach, the small intestine. Very, very important pieces of our body for purification, elimination, digestion, assimilation. With any of these poses, if it feels safe for you balance-wise, you can let the eyes fall 9/10 of the way closed, maybe even all of the way closed, and that'll center your attention inside. And it might even help with the visualization aspects of the colors as well. Maybe you see that color behind your eyelids, or maybe you can imagine it through your mind's eye, breathing through the center of that space in your body. We're going to move into the heart center. So now the hands are going to come a little higher into the center of the heart. So you're going to bring the hands up and open and press them away. Another option is you have the hands facing forward and you inhale them open like you're about to give a friend a big hug, and then exhale, bringing them closed. You can press them together in a prayer pose here, or you can inhale them open and maybe even layer them in at the center of your heart. So it's like you're accumulating space and air inside the center of the heart. So you can see which one feels best for you. Maybe it's going wide and then coming in. Maybe it's going wide and then pressing. Maybe it's pulling back and then pressing forward. Seeing what feels best for you, okay? The heart center is how we feel compassion towards ourselves, towards others, how we share and give love, how we receive love, how we show up in relationships. Color is green, so as you inhale, you're bringing in fresh, new green into the body. And then as you exhale, you're letting go of old and stagnant green. Alchemizing with bringing in new and letting old go. And the beauty of letting things go is that space around us will incorporate that old and allow it to be created as new for someone else. Especially if we're out in nature with trees. So maybe you're even even imagining breathing in and out of the center of the heart, just like before, but breathing in the addition of the color. Good. And one or two more here. If you're feeling good and clear, then you can come to stillness, maybe holding the hands in front of the heart or holding them out in front as though you were holding a tree, giving a nice hug. And then we're going to move into the throat. And as we move into the throat, this is the expression of ourselves, our boundaries. So your hands are going to be out to the sides, pointing down. You're going to turn one palm up and you're going to look to the other side. So you want to be always looking at the palm that's facing down. And then like a corkscrew, you're going to change the hands, and as you change the hands, you're going to change your head. And so going back and forth. And to incorporate the breath here, perhaps you want to exhale as you turn to one side. Inhale, center, exhale, side. The eyes are always looking at the bowl that's pouring over. And here it's the color blue. So maybe you're visualizing breathing in through the center of the throat. Color blue, and maybe that's filling up the neck muscles and dripping down the arms. Maybe it has a texture like paint or like gas or water. This is how we express ourselves, how we know what to say, whether we can express things in the right way, whether we can say boundaries, whether we have cognition of if our words are impacting others and how they're impacting others. Just a few more here. And then when you're ready, you can bring yourself into center and taking your hands, placing them on your throat. Just nourishing your throat. For the last chakra, it's going to be located through the center of your forehead. So perhaps you can imagine breathing in and out through the center of your forehead here. This one is a coordination drill. So option one, you're going to have your arms up to the sky. As you exhale, opposite arm to opposite knee. Inhale, back to stand. Exhale, opposite arm to opposite knee. So this is the full position, going back and forth. This is really challenging for a lot of brains, so just do your best. Option two is having the arms forward. Option three is having your arms not lifted and just reaching across the body. Okay? As long as you're getting this cross-body communication, that's what you want. It's getting the left and right sides of the brain to communicate together. We're also working on planes of fascia. So as we move our right arm, kind of like the reciprocity we were working on last week, when we move our right arm, our left hip also moves. When we move our left shoulder, our right hip also moves. We're playing around with these laws of connection and coordination through the body. Going as fast or as slow as feels right for you. Good. A few more here. If you want to continue, you can feel free. And then when you're ready, bringing yourself to center and just holding your hands on your belly. We're going to finish out with decompression breathing. And so we're going to do 6 to 10 breaths, depending on how much you would like to do. I invite you to take your hands and place your pinkies on the tops of your hips and your thumbs on the bottoms of your ribs. As you breathe in, you're going to get as big as you can, so your elbows are going to imagine that they're pulling apart. This will create a lot of space for the ribs. So you inhale, get as big as you can, and then as you exhale, you stay as big as you can through the ribs, decompressing the spine. Stay as big as you can, exhale, sewing the core in. Should feel a little bit like an ab workout. So the inhale gets you nice and big, you relax the belly. Nice and big as you can. See if you can get any more in there. And then exhale, firms the core, gets nice and strong, get nice and big as you can. Maybe the legs feel better going wider. You can get a little bit deeper through the breath into the pelvis, inhaling all the way to the top. Nice and big, decompressing the spine, pressing the ribs out, exhaling, pulling the core in, trying your best to keep the ribs big. Any movements you need, feel free, get as big as you can. We're trying to shake loose some of the tension in the chest and the ribs and the back. We'll go 3 more. Maybe it feels good even to pull on the skin to get some stretching the fascia. Opening up space in the body. The inhale presses the ribs out. The exhale pulls the core in, gets nice and strong. Good. And then once you finish your last breath, shake it out, shake any of the tension out. Do a couple bounces here and there. And then we're going to move it down onto the mat. So you can bring yourself down to the floor however you see fit. If you want to do a flow, you're welcome. Otherwise, come back down onto your backs. And laying flat, letting your bones drape into the floor. Let your head fall side to side a couple times. Use your elbows and shoulder blades to adjust your upper spine. While you're doing that, let your tongue fall into the bottom of your mouth, softening the jaw, keeping the lips together but letting the jaw hang, and then using the heels to adjust your low spine and soften even deeper through the low spine. Only got about 2 or 3 minutes left, so I'll play a Tibetan singing bowl and guide you out when you need. If you do have the opportunity to stay longer, please feel free to stay as long as you wish. If you're one of the yogis that needs to leave right at 12:50, please begin to bring some movement into your body. That time is now. If you have the ability to stay for longer, I would encourage you to do so and take all the time that you need. Very grateful that you showed up for yourself to practice today. I hope that you have an amazing rest of the week and that your body feels charged up in ways that were quite unexpected for you. There's a space in you that is the same as the space that's inside of me, and if we both are attentive in that space, together we are one. Namaste.
Namaste.